And what you're telling me, you got a 550 credit score, correct?
That's right.
This is the sketchiest thing I'm doing to make extra money.
All right, as always, today we've got a bad credit card loan. Also a lease that's gone over its mileage. And my personal favorite, Tradelines. Basically a highlight reel of what not to do with your money and credit.
He's on a 22 Scat Pack Challenger. It's about 45 grand. It's a beautiful car, so he's not going to find that anywhere in this area with only 10,000 miles.
I was referred to you from a girlfriend. She said you was the man for the job, so I ain't want to deal with nobody but Jay Rome. You sound like a winner. You sound like you can help me. Can y'all take a little bit off that car, man? Do something about that price?
Listen to him. You're going to be at the door about 43,000. And with average credit, you're going to be sitting at about 840 payment. And what you're telling me, you got a 550 credit score, correct?
That's right.
So you want your payment to be lower than your credit score?
Well, if you make it like that, I know I might be dreaming of maybe, possibly, you can kind of put me in that direction that I'm trying to be in. You can see myself paying no more than 5.
Come in and we can run some numbers for you.
I'm right up the street, man. I can come in right now because I want this car pretty bad, man.
Come on up and we're going to work something out. We're going to see what we can do for you.
A 550 credit score and wanting a Scat Pack. Those two things don't belong in the same sentence. It always seems like the lower the score, the nicer the car. This isn't a credit problem. This is a decision-making problem. This is the kind of purchase that feels good for about 5 minutes. Then you're stuck building your life around a car payment.
It looks like your lease is about to end.
What does that mean?
Whenever you lease a vehicle, you're not actually own the vehicle, so you will have to return it at the end of the lease. I see here on your contract that you released the vehicle out for a total of 40,000 miles. What's the current mileage on the Kia Telluride?
Oh, I'm way over that. I'm at like 60,000 miles.
There is an overage fee whenever you do go over the allotted miles. It looks like you're going to be paying almost $4,500 in overage fees. But
well, what am I supposed to do? Because I don't have that $4,500.
A lease might look cheap on paper, but what people forget about is the exit. Going over mileage isn't a small thing. It's not something you figure out later. It's a real bill. And it shows up at the worst possible time, right when the lease ends.
You can buy the vehicle out at the residual value of that vehicle. That way you don't have to spend about $4.5 grand and you'll own the vehicle. So that's good news.
Can I just get like a brand new one?
We can definitely look into that, but to do that, we will have to get you in and sit down with our used car specialist to put a number on that Kia Telluride. We'll have to figure out if there's any negative equity, especially with those overage fees. Good thing with Kia, they love keeping their customers loyal to them. So I think we have a good shot at making something happen.
You have to love the thought process here. I can't afford the $4,500, so let's solve that by getting a brand new one. That totally fixes the problem. Now you're turning one mistake into a longer commitment, with less flexibility, and the exact same risk of ending up right back here again.
Hi, my name is Sierra. I'm 18 and I'm over $500,000 in debt. But let's start off with why I thought I needed a $50,000 car. So prior to this car, I owned a 2009 Hyundai Sonata that I bought when I was 15 with cash that I had worked my butt off for. And my boyfriend drives it into the cities like an hour every day to work, so it's getting used still. After that car, I realized I did want a new car because I wanted something with warranty and I wanted something reliable. I wanted to make the purchase of a nice car before I had kids, and I wanted to have it paid off before I had kids. And I am planning on having kids earlier than 30, so I wanted to make sure that I had my finances in line when I do decide to have kids and not need to buy a mom car because the Hyundai was not being safe for anyone, and still is not, but it's a good beater car.
This is an excuse that gets used a lot. My car isn't safe, and sometimes that can be true. But most of the time, it's just a way to justify spending tens of thousands of dollars. It makes the decision feel responsible. It turns an emotional purchase into something that sounds logical. And once it feels logical, it's a lot easier to pull the trigger.
Along with that, though, I was not planning on spending $50,000 on a car. My goal to pay for a new car was around $30,000. I then got into shopping and realized that new cars are not around $30,000 anymore. A basic level SUV, I wanted just a nice mom car that at least could get me through the Minnesota winters, and they are far and few that are around the $30,000 mark and not something that I wanted. So I went to the dealership wanting a Honda. I knew I wanted that and I wanted a CR-V. I was willing to look at other options that were close to my price range, and I wanted a used car. And when I got there, they immediately had a 2025 brand new with the color I wanted pulled up. And it was like my dream car. So immediately he knew that I wanted that car.
It's a bit strange wanting to buy a mom car before you're even a mom. But of course they're going to try to sell you a brand new one. New cars sound safer, they sound more reliable, they sound like fewer headaches. So the focus slowly moves away from the price and onto the deal itself.
and put me right into it. It had 10 miles and had just came off the truck. I have never seen a car with something that low. I've only seen cars with like 100,000 miles, so I was kind of a little shocked. But from there, I fell in love with the car, and he said it was going to be around, let me see, I think it was like 39. He was like, we can get out as low as 39, 38,000. I'm like, okay, like I'll take an extra portion out for that, and I'm willing to pay that off and not pay that in cash. So I'll take a loan out for that and build some credit off that. By the time I got through financing, it ended up being 49 for the car, and I have no idea how that happened. That day is genuinely still a blur. I walked out there just about to cry, and I was shaking and literally hyperventilating that I had to leave as fast as I could. They had swooned me into every upgraded package, and it didn't even feel like an option, to be honest.
So she had a plan when she walked in. Somewhere along the way, that plan got pushed aside. Not because she wanted to spend more, but because she was talked into it step by step. This is what salespeople are trained to do. They don't argue with your plan. They slowly move you away from it. Then they start reframing what makes sense, until your original plan isn't a plan anymore.
This is the sketchiest thing I'm doing to make extra money. I've started selling Tradelines on my credit cards. I'm using this site. This isn't sponsored. I just want to point out that they're like legit. And so essentially what this is, if a person has bad credit, but they know that they need to get a mortgage or a car loan or something, they pay money to this website. This website matches them up with me based on what they're looking for, and I add them as an authorized user to my credit card for a set amount of time. They don't physically get any sort of card. They don't get my name. They don't have my information. I have all of their information. But the thing is, because they're an authorized user, they get my credit history.
This is one that might sound harmless on the surface. She's letting other people use her accounts as trade lines because it feels easy. It gets pitched as helping someone else out, while making a little bit of extra money on the side. But what it does is create risk for her with very little upside.
And that raises their credit score. They get a better interest rate on whatever loan they're trying to get. And I would not be doing this if I didn't know multiple people in person who had also done this and like said it was legit, because it seems so sketchy. I gave this website my banking information so that they can direct deposit me money. And the amount you get paid depends on your credit limit, the length the card has been open, various things. And so the ones I have ranges from $40 to $80, which might not sound like much, but if I get $40 and it took me 5 minutes to add an authorized user on my credit card, that's worth it for me.
It seems sketchy because it is. You're helping people get access to money they shouldn't have access to. That's not always helping them. In a lot of cases, it does the opposite. It gives them buying power without fixing the habits. It makes things look better on paper without changing the behavior underneath. And that's where it gets dangerous.
So I've done this a few times now. I think I have 8 possible spots on my different credit cards. They've paid out about $200 so far, and I have another $200 pending. I don't know if I would recommend it from the other side because these people are giving me their full name, birth date, address, and social security number. Like, they just have to trust that I'm not going to sell that on the black market. I don't even know how to do that, so their secret's safe with me. But I don't think they're getting any of my information anyways. If you have a good credit score, this may be for you.
I wouldn't care how much they paid. I wouldn't want these people tied to my credit profile. It's about the risk. I'd be worried about getting flagged. I'd be worried about accounts getting reviewed. And I'd be worried about getting debanked altogether. Once a bank decides they don't like what you're doing, that's it.
When are y'all gonna get bored trying to scam the system that can't be scammed? So I'm sitting here looking at a credit report. Credit report has 3 authorized user trade lines on it. Now you may be asking yourself, well, what's an authorized user trade line? An authorized user trade line can be a credit card where someone has added your name so you can piggyback off of someone else's credit history. Typically, it's a family member. So if you are a parent and you have a 15-year-old child, you might add them as an authorized user.
That I can understand. A parent doing it for their kid. They're not just adding them and walking away. They're teaching them how credit actually works, how to use it, how not to abuse it. There's guidance, there's limits, and there are consequences.
They don't necessarily have to physically get a card. So as the adult or as the actual account holder, you have no consequence. Like this cannot possibly go wrong for you to allow your kid to piggyback off your credit. So people get the authorized user trade lines because let's say this person has 10 years of perfect payment history with ABC credit card. Well, now you've been added as an authorized user. You now have 10 years perfect payment history with ABC credit card.
Adding trade line history means you didn't earn it. It just shows up on paper. You didn't build the habits. You didn't manage the balance. You didn't go through the mistakes that teach restraint. You're just borrowing credibility without learning responsibility.
Well, of course, anytime something is allowed, we're going to always find a way to mess it up for everybody. So what has happened is people literally will allow you to pay to be an authorized user on whatever the trade line is that they have. This is Googleable. You go to the website, you pay $250 per trade line, and all of a sudden you have amazing credit. Y'all know we can remove them trade lines, right? Yep. So what happens is when you go and you buy, let's say 3 authorized user trade lines, and then you come to me and I see you got 3 authorized user trade lines and you got 2 trade lines that belong to you with questionable repayment history. We can go in and we can remove those authorized user trade lines.
Lenders aren't blind to this stuff. They know when credit history was added instead of earned, and they don't always take it at face value. They can ignore them entirely and look at what your credit history looks like underneath. Now it's just your history, your balances, your behavior.
And we can look and see, well, what do you look like all by yourself? So you've just wasted $250 per trade line to boost your credit, to get credit that we're not going to give you because you by yourself don't qualify. Being an authorized user does not attest to what your repayment history is. All you're doing is demonstrating that you know somebody who has great repayment history. So I'm just letting y'all know, don't waste your money because we're going to know in the end whether or not you can qualify for a mortgage or not.
It all comes back to the same thing, trying to make things look better instead of actually fixing them. Bad credit card loans, leases that don't end well, trade lines that add history without changing behavior. Different situations, same outcome. The math always catches up. If you want to see more, you know what to do. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.